Hello everyone and welcome back to the allotment series. So at the moment, this allotment is probably the most organised that it's been since I've had it. So I've managed to sort out all the overhanging branches that we cut down. I've cut them all back and made a nice pile of them. I've also managed to acquire quite a lot of free cardboard that we can use for the ground. And also I've managed to acquire some wooden posts that we're going to be using to basically build a raised bed and some borders around our allotment. And we've also got ourselves a nice new compost bin, courtesy of my girlfriend Cora, as this was a Christmas gift, but I've only got round to basically using it, and we're going to be setting this up so it's going to be ready and composting for us for the future. So last episode I destroyed a old pallet and managed to save all these wooden boards that are here on the floor, and I was able to basically create a temporary border for the allotment. But I've been thinking, instead of using the boards for the border in these areas especially where the allotment isn't even ready for borders, where I haven't even got round to de-weeding or removing anything from it, I think it might be a good idea to reuse some of these borders instead to make us a raised bed for the allotment. But we are still going to be using the boards to border off this part of the allotment, and after today hopefully this side of the allotment will basically be ready for planting, and then we can crack on and start de-weeding the rest of the allotment. So first things first, let's clear out this area. So now this area is looking a lot more clearer, but there is something you guys might have noticed. And that is, we are now getting stuff growing again in the ground. Now, we did know this was going to happen, as we are now starting to hit the middle of spring. Stuff is starting to regrow, but believe it or not, we can actually use this to our advantage. Even though we spent hours trying to remove bramble roots and pandula from the ground, we can now see the areas that we've missed, and areas where they are slowly starting to creep up again. So now we can go around this whole area here, remove all the weeds that we missed the first time round, and this is the job for me and Mr. Matuk. So let's get weeding. And there we go. Yeah, I think we're finished with that. Now, it is not perfect, but we're going to be covering this whole area up with cardboard anyway, so if there's any grass or anything underneath, it will be covered. And in that one little area, I've missed all these brambles here, a nice little pile of them. Didn't realise how many of these I've missed, and I know you guys have mentioned this before, but look how unforgiving bramble roots are. The smallest root is managing to start to regrow again. That isn't fun. Goes to show how important it is to try and remove as much of the roots as we can. but I'm happy with that now. But if they do start to regrow again in this area, hopefully it'll just be a case of keep cutting the tops off, and hopefully if we keep disturbing it that much, the roots at the bottom will slowly die off, and that's hoping. So now we can actually start thinking about building our borders, and we can finally get rid of this. So we're now going to try and fabricate some sort of post system for our borders, and I just want to say also thank you to my brother Harry, as I have now got a knee mat. Yes, I've been kneeling on the mud this whole time since I've been doing this allotment. So how we're going to be doing this is quite simple. We're going to be measuring the width of these planks of wood, which are exactly 10 centimeters. So now we'll get our posts that we're going to be using for the ground, and we'll measure 10 centimeters plus another 20 centimeters to make 30, and that'll give us 20 centimeters in the ground, so it should give us a bit more stability, so we know if we accidentally kick the border, it ain't gonna rip it out of the ground. So what we'll do, we'll get our pencil. I just got to sharpen it a minute. Don't do this at home. Pencil's nice and sharp. We'll mark off 30 centimeters. We need a straight edge. Mark that like that. And now I have actually got the right saw for the job this time, and we're just going to cut. Nice. So now the cool thing is now that we've got our first one sorted, we can now use this as a template. All we've got to do now is just mark here, and now I'm going to try and saw off as many fence posts as I can. Right, so we've got all our blocks cut now, roughly the same size. Doesn't matter if they're slightly different, it's going in the ground anyway. So now we are on to the fun part. Let's see how difficult it is to try and get this into the ground. So before we start digging, let's just measure 10 centimeters on here, just so we know when we're actually going to be hitting the mark. And being the guy that I am, I forgot to bring my digging tools to the allotment. So the mattock is going to have to do. There. That's not too bad. That was a little bit of hard graft, but that mattock just completely ripped through the ground, and I probably did that in less than 2 minutes, so that was happy days. Just backfilling it now so it's still in place. Let's actually measure and see how long these boards actually are. They're actually 258 centimeters, so just over 2.5 meters. So now we know our next bit of wood has to go here, and we're going to be doing it so the plank is about halfway onto this one here. And that's because then we can join the next plank onto this one and keep going and going until we run out of planks. Let's dig the next hole. Go. So it's starting to take shape, but there is one thing that we are missing, and that is screws. So let's do a trip to B&Q and let's go and get some. So we're looking for screws because we need screws to be able to do our borders and to make some raised beds. And I've measured it. It should be between 40 and 50 mil. And look at that. That's perfect. 50 mil in length, and we got 500 of them. All right, so we got our screws. So let's do this. So these screws are actually perfect for the job, because when we start putting our wood together, it'll go in quite nicely there. And if we need to put a plank on the other side, you can see the screw kind of goes all the way through. But once you put a bit more wood on the side there, these are actually perfect length. Let's get this lined up as best we can, like that. We'll pre-drill a hole. Bang her in. There we go. That is solid. We obviously just won't do one screw, we'll put 2 screws in, just to be safe. There we go. Happy days. Right, same for this side now. Pilot hole. Happy days. So that is the first bit done. So now I'm just going to cut away to a montage and I'm going to finish the rest. So this is good progress. So this is basically the only borders we're going to have up for now. As you can see, some of them are slightly wonky and some of them have got big gaps underneath, but that is because the allotment itself isn't very well leveled. But I don't mind anyways, it's just a barrier for now to say what's mine and what's not mine. So I'm actually really chuffed about that. That's worked out really well. But now we're going to make some beds. So we have got 4 of these boards left, and I was thinking what we could do is maybe cut 2 of them in half. So if we measure this, cut this by half, we'll do that to another plank as well, and then what we can do, we can use another plank, cut it 4 times, and then we can hopefully make 2 raised beds. So now that we've got these planks cut up to the size we want, and now we're going to be using these planks of wood to join these ones up together, and they're going to go on the corners the same as the other ones. So we measured this up earlier and we know that these planks are roughly 10 centimeters deep. We'll do the same for these. We'll measure them at 10 centimeters, we'll make 8 of them, and then we'll start building our raised beds. Nice. So just like that, we have now tripled our raised beds. So today we've done a lot of progress already. I would like to do some more, but I ran out of time at the moment, so I'll be right back. Right, so it's been about a week since I've last been to the allotment, but in between that time and now, I have been inquiring about hiring a wood chipper. And let's just say it's a little bit more expensive than I anticipated. But all hope is not lost. I've managed to get in contact with some local wood surgeons, and they have told me an area which is close by where they have dumped off a load of wood chippings. But unfortunately, due to privacy, I can't film where I've got these from, so I'm going to have to manually unload these all from the car, but I won't show you that on camera. But look at this. That is like liquid gold round here. That is some quality stuff. But for now, we'll leave the wood chippings, because next we're going to have to start applying the cardboard. Luckily enough, I've managed to acquire a lot of free cardboard through my works, and the good stuff about this cardboard is there's no stickers, there's no glue, there is nothing on this cardboard, it's just plain cardboard. So this is ready to be applied straight to the ground, and thankfully we haven't got to worry about this being hazardous to the ground, because like I said, it's got no stickers, no glue, literally nothing on it. So that is how big each bit of cardboard is that I've got. So I think I've got about 3 of them and probably a half of one as well. And like I said, they are a good size, but there are some gaps. So what I'm gonna do is put it right up close to the corner and then cut some off pieces, put them on top, and then we can start laying out our beds. Also got my trusty pencil sharpener as well for this job. This has covered the area quite nicely. So now that the cardboard's down and it's going to help us suppress any weeds, we're now going to try and position where we think our raised beds would be best off. So in order for us to dictate where we reckon the raised beds would be best off, we have to try and think about the sun. The sunrise is usually in between this here. So the sun would go up here throughout the day, all the way over there, and then during the evening it would go and fall behind these trees. So basically in the morning and during the day we'll have quite a bit of sunlight, where in the afternoon we might get partial sunlight, but it's because it's blocked out by the trees behind us. So if we place our raised beds where the sun will hit both sides equally, unfortunately it will look like that. It will not be square at all to the allotment. So I personally feel having the raised beds this way instead of that way is probably the best. And that's because the sunlight will hit this way, and then as the sunlight goes over and behind the trees, nothing at the back here is going to get any sunlight at all. But if it's this way instead, you're going to get sunlight on this area, and as the sun starts going over, it will then hit sun on this side. But I personally feel like that is the better option of the two. Now it isn't going to be permanent, we can move them later on. This is only a temporary solution, just so we can actually start growing stuff and we can see some development at the allotment. Right, so I've got myself a nice little stick, which I think will be a perfect width for my walk paths. So what I was going to do is use the stick to measure how far away everything is from each other. Now, I was going to put this compost bin that my girlfriend got me here, right at the back of the border of the allotment, and then start putting some stuff in it to start decomposing, but I'm having second thoughts about it, only because I don't want to then get all the compost material out, and then it goes everywhere onto the wood chips. So for now, I'll leave this be, and if you guys recommend me doing it this way, then I will do it, but for now, I'm just going to leave it in place. I'm not going to put nothing in it yet. And I'm hoping you guys might agree with me, or if you think otherwise, just let me know. Right, so before we start applying the wood chip, I am going to water down the cardboard because it is absolutely solid, and I got a feeling when I apply the wood chip, it's just going to stick out like that. And luckily enough, I've got my neighbour's watering can, but the only free source of material we get at this allotment is water. And this is a water tank that gets filled up as soon as you use it. So at least we've got one good thing going for us at this allotment. Yeah, look, see how it's all just all stuck up here. Hopefully a bit of water should help soften it all up. So I think that has helped solve the problem. So now, let's start applying some of the good stuff. So, I'm going to need some more wood chip, but we can do that at another time. So this is what it all looks like now, and we're not far away from being able to use this that actually grows some stuff on the allotment. But unfortunately, there is still a couple things we do need. And the first one is, we're going to have to come up with some way of making like a Hugo culture type thing to fill up this raised garden bed. We're going to have to also come up with a way of trying to get some good soil to be using in these beds, or we could use the soil that's underneath the carboard. But the problem is it is quite clayey, so it depends. If we can find some good soil, then we're going to try and use it. And the third issue is we're going to need a lot more cardboard and we're going to need a lot more wood chippings, as hopefully this here is just a little idea of what the allotment should look like come probably next year, hopefully. So I don't know if I've mentioned it already in this video, but there's two main reasons why I do want to have cardboard and wood chippings on the allotment. The first reason is we have got really bad soil on this allotment where it is completely clay. Hopefully the wood chippings and the cardboard, as they break down, will help bring nutrients into the soil and help improve it. And also a lot of you have mentioned using cover crops. I have not ruled that out yet. I think that'd be a really good idea, and hopefully I'm going to be doing it to the other parts of the allotment where it's still overgrown at the moment. But that is something I would like to try and do. And the second reason is this allotment is not level at all. As you can see here, I've put this raised bed down and the wood chippings are coming up underneath it. I'm hoping that as the wood chippings and the cardboard start to decompose, that it'll help level the ground out a lot more, and it is easier to walk on this now at the moment, as I feel like as I've put it down, it's more level than it has ever been. So that is the two real reasons why I want to use wood chips or cardboard, and also the added extra of it should block out the weeds and it does look really cool. So I just want to say thank you guys for watching today. I hope you have enjoyed today's episode, and this episode was number 10, so it's been 10 episodes since I had this allotment, so I think we've done really good progress so far. I know some people said it's slow, but we are slowly getting there. But even though we're now getting ourselves set up to grow stuff, unfortunately we're going to have to go back to our old ways, and we're going to have to start clearing stuff out again because stuff is starting to regrow everywhere. Hopefully you don't mind another video where we can start destroying stuff again, but hopefully we can demonstrate some more growing stuff on the allotment. So I hope you guys have enjoyed, and I'll see you guys next time.